This is then the AGC map of Great Plains. It's basically very similar as you saw before as well, based on layout of the map regarding food distribution. So what we have here, still Ottoman versus British. That should of course still be the same. Mines are fair. Tombo has only one gold mine. I'm not sure if he notices yet, but that can definitely be an issue in the long run. And in my opinion, there should be a rehost. He might be too focused on the game. The thing is, of course, it's still a 2k mine. It's not like it's bad, but especially this is very likely going to be a longer game. Could be a longer game, and then having one mine is just bad. You should have two mines. Or am I seeing? He is missing a mine, right? Of course, in the end you can say it's up to the player to ask for the rehost. And if the player doesn't ask for a rehost, then either he might not have noticed that it's only one gold mine, or he doesn't care about it, I don't know. It will definitely make it harder for him, because as we also see, his other gold mine is like over here. His third gold mine is like impossible to reach. Kind of lost track here, because as you probably all know, I prefer a fair game. That means a fair map. Of course, British has still one option, and that is going for a lot of longbowmen and or pikemen. I mean, mixed with pikemen. That way, of course, you're less dependent on the gold mine, but in the end, still, it can make a lot of difference, because you will have to make Hussars versus Ottomans, probably, and you also probably will have to age up at some point. Anyway, the game is going to be played like this. He should have rehosted if he wanted to. The only problem, and that was why that was the reason for my hesitation. I'm not sure if every Japanese player is how you say it, is familiar with the rules and knows that he can rehost if something like this happens. Let alone the fact that he might not even notice that he has one gold mine after 2 minutes. Anyway, we see that Izzo is going to do his standard Izzo thing, which is like what 90% on Classic does. Fast Fortress with Ottomans here, with the tower. That's the fastest way you can go Fortress. He brought in this hunt, which seems a little bit smaller than usual, but here still hurts here. He can hurt towards town center. You age with 200 coin, you gather 100, and you ship 700, and then you can age up very fast. Tombo is going to age with the tower. It's pretty standard as well for his Ottomans, because you don't know if a rush is coming in or whatever. You always want to have a defensive setup here. Izzo took 75 coin, Tombo 70 coin, so this is all very equal, and both have their starting coin beavers as well. Take a look at the deck for a second. He does have land grab, and colonial militia. This is of course something that can be nice for his Ottomans, though land grab I'm not sure about. It's more like a later on thing. What we see is he doesn't have 6 musketeers, and he doesn't have musketeer HP. I would prefer another card in the second age, to be honest, but anyway, the basic cards are still in there. 6 longbowmen for defense, cavalry cards, 5 villages, 700 wood. And then we take a look at the Ottoman deck, which is the very standard deck. Church cards, not what everyone uses, but the third age, except for he has no Mamelukes. I mean, no Spahi. Okay. He has. Oh, okay. Anyway, no Spahi. That's a weird thing, especially versus British. I think it can be nice. So what we see here, I missed this, but this should have been the 700 coin. There you see 700 coin, and now he ships a 700 wood. That's going to be for probably another trading post, but of course for more houses, a barracks, upgrading the janissaries and stuff like that. We see that he scouted the town center here. He scouted the tower. That means he is probably very sure that's going to be a fast fortress. He also shipped 700 gold himself, 700 coin. This was from Izzo, this was from Tombo, so he is also gonna go fortress very fast. Quick look at his deck. Some fortress cards you see over here. This is also a very nice card, 10 Jaegers, especially if you can out micro ambus with their range. I believe their range is 20. Then we see a barracks coming up over here. What I did miss, sorry for that, is what his first card was. Tombo, that's normal. So he has shipped 700 gold as his first card. Okay, interesting. Anyway, Izzo just aged as expected, and he aged with 4 Abs guns. Also very standard. He picked up 320 XP. This is interesting. I'm not sure what he's gonna do. He shipped 700 wood, but he still has 1 trading post. He still makes no barracks. I'm not sure what's gonna happen over here. A market, okay. You could of course be going for some kind of, there we go. This could be for Mamelukes, but it can also be some kind of revolt strategy, going for a fast industrial. That's why he might not be building a barracks and stuff like that. We see a very good timing scout coming out from Tombo here, because he has to know what's going on. It would be very nice if he can spot this coin, but he will not be able to. It's going to be grabbed too fast. So he has still no idea what's coming, but if he scouts here, he knows that there's nothing up yet. Of course, knowing that there's no wrecks here doesn't mean that there's no wrecks on other part of the map, but it usually gives you a very good idea. Still 1 trading post, definitely something weird is going on over here. Anyway, he aged with 6 longbowmen and made 5 musketeers, 10 musketeers in fact, gathering some wood of course for the houses. Keep in mind 700 wood is not that necessary if you go for a fast fortress, because you can also go for the 1k wood over there and boom your houses and make a stable from that point. Finally we see a second trading post coming up here. Not upgraded yet, so the wood is not invested in that. Market of course can also be used, for example if you are under pressure and you still want to go for this revolt thing, that you can trade some wood for gold or food for gold or whatever you have in excess. You can change for something that you need. Here we see a fort wagon, so that's definitely going to mean something is up, like fast industrial and or fast revolt, because the fort is very defensive. That means that British is not going to be able to break this anytime soon. Then of course, what kind of reaction should you have? He scouted this, he wants to put up pressure. Seeing this fort, he knows that he can't do a lot of damage over here. So I think my best bet would just be to boom a little bit and to get a good economy going, so you can set yourself up for a big mess. Anyway, any damage you do here versus the fort that's still being built is also bonus damage, if you want to target your cannons on this. But of course going fast industrial as British is, yeah, of course an option, but it's not the best option in my opinion, because it's not like Ottomans with all the shipments and stuff that you have. The fort still finishes. I think you should be aiming it on the cannons, because the Abs guns can micro very well versus these units. And if this is going down, which it probably will, There we go, industrial age, 1k coin, age up. He needed like, what is it, 100 times 3, 300, 600, so he needed like 3 shots to finish this, 3 or 4, but he decides to pull back. Actually, this is a weird decision, because I think this is, when you have it on this low HP, it's probably better to break it. He aged up to the 4th age, but if he would age up with the Spahi, they would be already at his cannons, or running away doesn't matter, because he would still be trapped over here. And if he ages with the 1k coin, which is what he did, then you might as well finish this fort over here and go back, because now it's being repaired, as you see over here, making this position even more hard to break. And of course this is a crucial position, because the trading posts matter a lot for the shipments that the Ottomans can use later on. But this position is where the shipments come from, and the Ottomans always need a point to ship from if they're gonna go for such a strategy. So he's gonna send some villagers over the map. I like this very much. The Ottomans' pressure is likely gonna be over here, and then you also want to have your villagers all across the map, so you will always be able to gather resources. You see that the one gold mine is probably gonna go. The lack of one gold mine effect is probably gonna get into effect anytime soon, because he has to go all the way over here or all the way over here, which are very easy to raid if Izzo scouted it. He definitely scouted this one and this one. I'm not sure if he went via that side. A little bit of a raid coming in here from Izzo, from Tombo. Fort is still being repaired, as you see over here. Not sure why he runs back this way, but okay. Factory coming up. Factory coming up. I have to think a little bit about this, because of course you can make great bombards with it. You can usually you set it to resources, but as you see over here, I think it should work for me even if I'm an observer. It's not set to resources, so that means he's gonna make great bombards with it. Of course, very nice versus civilizations like British, with usually a lot of infantry, and especially since this infantry, musketeer, and maybe some longbowmen are the best counter to a straight revolution kind of stuff. Because they do well versus the militia, and then you have cannons to kill the musketeers. So that's very good logic over there. He's trying to take out trading post. Anytime you can do that is always a good thing. Of course, the Ottomans doesn't have many units now, so it's the perfect option to take it out. What we see here is the second factory coming up, and after that he's probably going to use his shipments for. He might tweak in his Spahi, but I think not. He's just going to save it for some kind of revolution, I think. See this big fort shooting at it, bam. Anyway, 150 damage, quite a lot. I think it just tries to annoy the Ottomans at this point, so it's not as easy for him to go to this revolution, for this revolution strategy. Because any delay you can get is good for the British, because in the meantime British can boom more and get more resources and just get more mass up. And he sneaked his villages over here, as you see. Making an artillery foundry. Ah, this is very nice. I think he's gonna make an artillery foundry over here, not to make cannons, but to make petards. These are the suicidal units. They blow up themselves, and with that they also blow up buildings. There's the first great bombard, by the way. And if you blow up buildings, of course, like I explained before, the Ottomans won't have any points from shipping anymore. You need 6 petards, or 5 I believe, to kill 1,000. It's, let me think for a second. It's either 1600 or 2000 damage. If it's 2000, of course, you need 4. And if it's 1600, you need 4 as well. So that doesn't matter. 6600. But usually you want to send 1 or 2 more, so you make sure that even if one dies, you are still able to get down the building, because otherwise it could be repaired again. A barracks is going up. If you have any excess resources from a trading post or factories, you can always train some janissaries, which can be useful to protect the cannons. Though I'm expecting mainly militia early on. What you see here is that the British is just booming and getting a mass going. I think he's not gonna age. Just stick to H3 and H3 units. Of course, you still have your cars like musketeer cars and stuff like that to get for a good army. What he sees now is that the fort is being repaired, so it's not worth to attack it. there we go, factories being taken out, that's very nice. No more great bombards from this side, and he now knows about it. That's why I would actually prefer to wait until you have like 10 petards and then immediately take out both factories, because now he could make a little bit of a wall, go for a more defensive setup with a bombard over here, perhaps post some janissaries or whatever. Anyway, he took out the factory, that's very good. Expect more petards coming in soon, I will try to keep an eye on it. And over here, I'm not sure why he just moves. I think he saw this hero coming in, but then he should have just taken it out with his dragoons. Anyway, the hero is going to try, you have 2 shots available, the crack shot and the H4 shot, so you can take out this treasure very easily, especially if you bring in your Manchu. Okay, this is going different than I expected, as you probably see by now, because he also shipped some Manchu. So it's not gonna be fast revolt as I expected. He can still be revolting anytime later, because it would be unlikely that he just sticks to 4th age, I think. But of course, it can also be just 4th age fights with the great bombard you get for the factory, and of course all the shipments the Ottomans has, like another great bombard and still the H3 shipments. He doesn't have Spahi included as well. Maybe he's not a fan of Spahis. Interesting to me, because guard Spahis are definitely worth it, in my opinion. Also for the raids, because the British has to get his resource from some place. Here you see that he distributed his villagers over several gold mines. That means that if one is raided, he still has income from the other. No raids coming in from Izzo yet. Maybe a little bit too defensive. I think this is a very good defensive position. I would have, in my opinion, these great bombards should be posted somewhere over here, or maybe one in between here, here and there, so that you're more protected by this defensive setup. Because suppose that Tombo has 10 hussars, they could easily be just charging in here and take out all the cannons. So that's not good. And I would have him raid a little bit with these Manchus. There you see the power of great bombards. He shipped 2 bombards. You see 500 siege attack damage. That means plain damage to almost any unit in the game or building. And sorry. He also has, of course. Oh no, okay, they don't have bonus. 500 is already enough. 500 damage, 5 area. So that if he would hit this musketeers over here, that means that all these musketeers are getting hit by this one cannonball. Yeah, it's now a little bit of a waiting thing. While Tombo is still getting his economy going ahead in points now, and getting his mass going, you see that Izzo is just slowly trying to push out. He has to be very careful, because even though he has some anti-cavalry, it's not that much. So if some hussars would charge in over here, that's just still going to be very hard to deal with, and he could easily lose like 2 or 3 of these great bombards. Since it's not a revolution yet, he doesn't have access to militia, so he needs his janissaries and other stuff to protect his cannons. But of course, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these cannons together, they do pretty good even versus, as you see here, 10 dragoons or a small group for any units. He's gathering a lot of wood, and that indicates to me that he still wants to go for some kind of revolution. Why else would you go gather so much wood? To make a town center? Okay, that's another option. It's always interesting, of course, to see how this will play out, because by doing this, staying this long H4, in one way you have an advantage because your H4 is so fast, and you have access to better units. On the other hand, if you are so defensive, that's of course also a little bit due to Tombo being active with his cavalry, with his guns, and trying to raid and sneak in here and there. But if you are this defensive, it just means that you give your opponent a lot of time to get the right units out that he wants. That means gathering all over the map, that means getting line of sight, that means adding in culverins you see over here to counter the great bombards, getting more mass, etc. So in fact you only make it harder for yourself if you don't push out, and that's also why I kind of expected some kind of revolution thing. Of course you can still go for a revolution if you have these units. But we'll see what this is going to be, how this is going to play out. He made a town center here. Of course it's not just an extra shipping point, but it's also map control. although it's not placed anywhere near resources. I would have had it over here, for example, near the food and gold, but we'll see how that's gonna play out. There we have a new hit squad coming in of petards, made from here, of course. He sees that his army is quite far out on the map, and this is what I mean, by the way. Of course, being in ranged doesn't do that much. You should put them in melee mode or just not engage. But here you see Culverins outrange Great Bombards, so they will be able to do damage here, 34 versus 28 range. Meanwhile, there is going to be the hit squad is going to be taking out the factory, and this is just a very nice move from Tombo. He had the time to get his army that he wanted, and that means Culverins and Musketeers. It's the perfect counter, in fact, to what the Ottoman has and what the Ottoman can make, because, for example, he could make Mamelukes, and that means the Musketeers will come into place very nicely. Same with the Dragoons. And the Culverins can be pushed forward very slowly to take out these Great Bombards, as you saw before. The factory here taken out. No more Great Bombards, that means, for the Ottomans. Trying to take out a town center. Anytime you can do damage, it's of course very nice. Also interesting, he doesn't have a Janissary card in the 4th age, but he chose to go for 8 Hussars. He definitely shipped some Janissaries and made some, I think. Not sure actually if he made them all or just shipped 8. He has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 or something, so I think he shipped 8. Meanwhile, this is still going good for Tombo. Even though the points are quite close, I would definitely give the advantage to Tombo right now. He's talking about game sense. Checking out the map, checking out if he goes for trading post, seeing what damage you can do, seeing if you can pick off any units. Very well here. Very well done. He had to give up this gold mine. And this one, of course, he evacuated earlier, so he has now no more gold. That means he will have to go to a plantation soon, because this one will run out as well. And of course he doesn't have 2k gold from his starting position. Trading post not going to be a successful build. And yeah, its scores are still similar, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. Nice, making a tower, but the gold mine just ran out. Anyway, tower always nice line of sight on the map. I guess the British has enough wood anyway. Even though this is still a hard mess to deal with, especially when there are more units, because keep in mind, the more units are together with these Great Bombards, the harder it is to get to them, because the more shields they have. That means he has more units to kill, for example, your Culverins. You can also put 2 Bombards forward to kill your Culverins, keeping the rest in the back. And of course, so many units in front means it's hard to micro all your right counter units on his counter units. So basically it means that the more mass you have with a number of cannons like this, the better your army will be. More than 2 times better, if you get what I mean. Same thing is, for example, with skirmishers. If you have a lot of skirmishers, they won't do as good with 5 Dragoons, but if you have, for example, 10 or 15 Dragoons, you can do a lot of hit and run, because you are able to pick off a lot of cavalry with good micro with the 10-15 Dragoons you have. While if you have only a few, then he might be able to outmash you and put some Musk and melee mode and stuff like that. Anyway, that's not happening here, so I'm not going into detail about that. What you see here is he's slowly pushing forward, feeling quite confident as he shoot, mixing in some longbowmen as well. Longbowmen, of course, don't cost gold, which is the problem, because he has no more gold, as you see here. Doing a little bit of a raid here. Of course, he discovered these villages on this gold mine, because he had his houses over there. Always nice to raid a little bit. And yeah, still gathering so much wood. I have no idea why he's gathering so much wood. I definitely have to ask him, or someone else has to tell me, because why would you be gathering so much wood at this point in the game? He's not even making another town center, he's not making a tower here, or even 3 towers or something to defend that position. Interesting. Anyway, he tried to take the trading post again, I guess. We have another Dragoon raid preventing that from happening. And here these villagers are just on a nice walk. Scouting, I guess. Of course you don't scout with villagers, that was a joke. You just try to get resources, but he's just trying to run from the musketeers over here. Sorry. Dragoons, of course, easily going to be taking out the villagers. Oh, that was by the longbowman. Yeah, this is a little bit of a waiting game. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Tombo is now pushing out again. He's going to pick off 1 or 2 of these great bombards here, and that means that the ball is at Izzo, or how you say it in English. He really has to make a decision about what he's going to do. You can't be playing like this forever. I tried to explain that before. The British just booms, gets the perfect army composition, and especially with the factories gone, because it would have been like 4 more great bombards by now. You can't stay like this forever. You need more pressure versus the cannons, and that's, for example, a combination of Spahis that you can just charge in with everything, or Mamelukes. But if he has so many dragoons and musketeers as he has by now, even that is going to be very hard. And of course, since Ottoman doesn't have a great economy, because he's only relying on his H4 stuff, 1 trading post, and not many villagers, as you see over here. Yeah, for example, he has like a third of the villagers of the British, and no upgrades, or not many upgrades at least. He's not able to make a really standard army, or for example mixing covenants of his own. So the longer this game goes on, the more Tombo gets an advantage. He already has an advantage, but the more he gets an advantage. In fact, he might even be able to age up and upgrade his musketeers, get access to other stuff as well. Factories, coin, taking out the racks. Another thing that Tombo is doing here, which is very nice, he is active on the map, especially with his goons, because they are fast. Not just leaving this over here. As you see, he still has musketeers in place, and he's not going too far because he can always return in things in case he thinks it's needed. But being this active on the map ensures that the Ottomans is not able to... let me come back to the point later. He revolted, of course. Then the hussars are all being converted to guard hussars. A lot of hit points, as you see over here. You can charge in, take out the covenants. I think the covenants should just shoot because they're going to die anyway, which is now what he's probably going to do. Musketeers are put in melee mode, but you see that still 4th age hussars do very good versus 2nd age, 3rd age musketeers. And this is quite a game changer from this point. He definitely did not expect Izzo to revolt here, and he was caught off guard a little bit. Right as I was explaining that he was bringing his goons back. Anyway, we see that that's why he got all the wood. He now revolted. It's not game over yet. You have to keep in mind that the British have still an economy going, gathering resources everywhere. He should also make sure he gets all his units together, which he's doing now. He definitely needs new culverins, but as you see, there are only 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 hussars left with not a lot of HP. For the ones in the back. So as soon as he's able to take out the hussars, the culverins will do a lot better. Shipping 10 longbowmen over here. Of course, longbowmen spread out will be a good defense, but he definitely needs culverins or hussars to take out the cannons. Of course, hussars is now going to be a tough choice because of these colonial militia, which do 2 times more damage versus cavalry, even being in the range mode. There we have new culverins coming, and this is going to be a micro battle. If he can take out a few of these, I think he can still win this. Of course, he has to keep in mind that there's going to be a raid with colonial militia over here, but he already evacuated his villagers. He took out the raid as well with the dragoons, and there's a big migration going on. Still, here we have the micro of the cannons and the culverins. Keep in mind that culverins do counter great bombards, not only because it's a counter unit, a direct counter, but also because of their range, 34 versus 28. But also, what you shouldn't forget is that these great bombards do so much damage, 500 siege as you see, that if they get in range, they can still kill culverins, as you're going to see over here right now, probably. He's targeting longbowmen first. Yeah, there you see 2 shots on the culverin, and there is going to be GG from Izzo, because as explained here, the British, with his defensive position and just making some new culverins, is able to take out the cannons. That means that the Ottomans is losing his power to push on the British. The British still has a lot of resources available, mostly food and wood, but he can still trade, of course, for gold to make the culverins. He also made a plantation over here, I believe. No more villages on it, but he had it from before. And the main thing, I think, in this quite long game, is that the Ottomans was, in my opinion, too defensive. That's the main thing. you should either be pushing out earlier when the British doesn't have that many units and especially doesn't have the best composition that he wants to make, or you should go for a revolution faster so that you're able to use your trading post more effectively, because you can get the second trading post, as he got in the end, by the way, again. But you can apply much more pressure. Don't go for the silly Manchu, because they actually suck in my opinion. But go for more colonial militia army, Gatling guns perhaps, maybe let the factory still produce great bombards, but just being able to put on more pressure on the British, on their base, on the map, and that is probably would have been a better choice. The second thing is that, of course, Tombo played this very well in micro, but also in being active around the map. That was what I was explaining before. The thing is that because you are so active, not just by raiding villagers, but also by, for example, preventing the trading post from going up, trying to see if any cannons are in their walking mode, not in their sieging mode, so that you can do some damage over there. And also very important, if you are running around a lot like that, it means that Izzo has to constantly watch his army and make sure that it's protected at all times, because he can't risk losing it versus, for example, the dragoons or a hussar raid, what could have come in. And that means also, if he wants to charge, for example, if he wants to attack you and he's currently over here, it's not as easy to just say, okay, I grab my army and I click on this town center, we just go for it. Because there's so many units walking around the map, and the activity of the dragoons of Tombo mainly, it means that he has to go slowly. He has to be very careful that he keeps protecting his army from all angles, because there can always be something coming in from the back. So the distance is the same, but the time to cross this distance is much longer. And that's also a basic thing you can do if you play versus someone who is in the third age. If he has cannons in his deck, you always want to try to slow him down. Raid a lot so that you will do damage to his economy if he pushes out, because if he pushes out, it means that he has to protect his cannons. For example, if he pushes out with Janissary and cannons, he can't have many Janissaries at home. If he leaves too many Janissaries at home, it means you will be able to easily take out the cannons. So it's a similar situation. If someone has cannons, you try to use your mobility on the map, and you try to be annoying everywhere you can, delay him as much as possible, and then if you can find a good angle, you can go for it, or you can go for a more defensive position, as you see over here, because Izzo did a good job protecting his cannons until he was over there. So Tombo went in a defensive position and waited for more culverins to come out. So, that's it. Let me get a breath over here. Take a breath over here. Good game, nice game, well played by Tombo mainly. Interesting by Izzo. I think it could have been more effective if he changed up a little bit, but interesting game, and that's gonna be it for now.